All right, shalom, shalom. It's the brother Shakar here with another lesson through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Rakak Wadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of the great millstone from which I learned his truth. Peace and blessings to the house of David, doing his work with all righteousness, truth, and sincerity. And I want to say shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom. I just wanted to get into a lesson. I actually wanted to follow up on yesterday's lesson because I didn't get a chance to really finish my thoughts. I had to go into the plantation, but I wanted to add a little bit more, okay, to the to that word world, okay, in John 3:16, because I defined went into the definition of constitution and government. I actually wanted to go into that word order as well. So let me get it. Let's go to John chapter 3 and verse 16. Again, this is a stomach block, man. But I'll read it. It says, "For the Most High so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whosoever believeth in him should not perish." It says, "But whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." And again, you got those individuals coming out, okay, with this scripture, okay, trying to include everybody. That this word world right here represents, okay, every living person, okay, that ever lived, every living person that is scattered throughout the earth. No, okay, that word is cosmos, again, which is only speaking, okay, about Israel, the Israelites. Let's go into it. Like I said, I just wanted to add to it. Again, that word is G2889, and we'll go ahead and play it. We'll play it again. Like I said, we brought it out yesterday, but I'm gonna play it again.
Strong's G2889, Kosmos. Kosmos.
Okay, we got the definition, right? An apt and harmonious arrangement or constitution, order of government. And again, we went into that word constitution. Okay, we went into that word government, but I want to go into that word order. So the definition is the arrangement or disposition of people or things in relation to each other according to a particular sequence, pattern, or method. See, and when you go into the similar words, it's a structure. Again, who was given structure? Okay, the Israelites. Who was set up? Okay, who was set up with the law, statutes, commandments? Israel. But let me go into the second one. I believe that's the one. Well, actually, let me see. Here in the noun sense, it says an authoritative command, direction, or instruction. And let's go into those similar words. A command, a commandment, a law. See, rule, regulation, ordinance, statutes. Again, who was given the law, statutes, commandments? Okay, that was only given to the Israelites. In the verb sense, it says to give an authoritative direction, see, or instruction to do something. See, and as Israel, we're directed what? To keep the commandments, okay, to keep the laws, okay, to do the things, okay, that are correct, man, according to the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. See, this wasn't given to anybody. So order, okay, is only given to Israel. The other nations, they don't have order. Okay, that's why they worship, okay, worthless idols. Okay, that's why they worship gods that are no gods at all. Let's get that. That's the book of Psalms, chapter 96, and I'm gonna start off from verse 4. It says, "For the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai." Actually, I'll start up. I'll start at verse 3. It says, "Declare his glory among the heathen." See, and that's all these other nations. His wonders among all people. It says, "For the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is great, see, and greatly to be praised." It says, "For he is to be feared above all gods." See, with the little g. It says, "For all gods." It says, "For all the gods See, other nations are idols. But the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai made the heavens. So the other nations, they're not worshiping Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay, if they worship Jesus, Allah, Buddha, okay, those are all idols, man. It's idol worship. So you see, when it comes to the Lord loving a people, well, if He loved the nation so much, then why weren't they given, okay, the law, statutes, commandments? Okay, why were not they given the structure, okay, the order, okay, to do things correctly? Because the Lord, He does not love them. Okay, so the world, okay, that the Most High loves is speaking about the Israelites. Let me go to the book of Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 23. Listen, it says, truly in vain, see, is salvation hoped for from the hills, see, and from the multitude of mountains. Okay, when you go into hills and mountains, okay, that represents governments. Your hills being your smaller governments, your smaller nations, and mountains representing what? Your larger governments, your larger nations. It says that truly in vain is salvation hoped for. So they're hoping for salvation. They're hoping, okay, from a love, okay, from the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, or again, they say Jesus and God and whatever else they call them. Okay, it's in vain. It's worthless. Okay, it's meaningless. It means nothing. It says, truly in the Lord, see, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, our power is the salvation of Israel. See, now when you go into, let me get it. When you go into the translations, see, and this throws people off. What did we just read? That the gods of the nations are idols. Again, so if Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, okay, which is the power, okay, of Israel, okay, and again, He knows all these nations. So if He knows all these nations, then why did He not give them the structure? Why did He not give them the order? Let's go to, let me get that, Jeremiah 3, and let's go to verse 23. I'm reading NLT because sometimes, they'll read this in a different translation and it throws them off. But they have, again, they're not using, okay, a proper mindset, man. Look, it says our worship of idols, this is Jeremiah 3 and 23 in the NLT. It says our worship of idols, see, on the hills and our religious orgies on the mountains are a delusion. Now, was Israel heavy and still is, okay, into idolatry? Of course, man. You see, but there's a certain mindset, okay, there's a certain way, okay, that's been taught, okay, to the remnant of Israel, man. Okay, those that are going to come back, okay, to worshiping the true power. It says, listen, it says, only in the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai our power, see, will Israel ever find salvation. Well, what about the nations? Why are they not written there? Okay, if this is only speaking about Israel, okay, going into idolatry again, which hey, they did, okay, and they still are, okay. But what about these nations? Didn't we just not read that the gods of the nations are idols? So if Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai did not give them structure, okay, did not give them order, did not give them the law, statutes, commandments, okay, how can they properly worship, okay, the true power? Because it's not for them. You see, if the Most High really truly loved them, He would have gave them, okay, the proper ways. Okay, He would have gave them the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, He would have gave them the right way to follow. Let me get it in another translation. Let me get that I'll get it in the, let me see here. I'll get it in NIV and the ESV. It says, surely the idolatrous commotion on the hills and mountains is a deception. It says, surely in the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, our power, see, is the salvation of Israel. So what about the nations? Okay, shouldn't they be worshiping the proper power? Shouldn't they be doing the things the correct way? But it's not there. It's not written there for them. Let me read that in the ESV. It says, truly the hills are a delusion, the orgies on the mountains. It says, truly is the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, our power, see, is the salvation of Israel. Again, it's only speaking about one nation, okay, the Lord's people. Again, it's not for everybody. See, this is the reason why 2/3 of our people just here in so-called America, okay, they got to perish, man. Why? Because they're still, okay, committing idolatry. Okay, they're still worshiping, okay, worthless idols, man. They're still following the ways of these heathen nations. Again, because the heathen nations were set up, okay, to follow, okay, these falsehoods, to follow these false gods. So if salvation, okay, which is again, they don't even know what salvation truly is. Salvation is what? Being saved from an impending doom, okay, and then having rulership. Okay, that's what salvation is. Okay, it's not what these people think. They think that salvation is going to heaven, okay, and not to hell, which there is no hell. Okay, that's just speaking about a condition, okay, a hellish condition that will be here on earth, which right now, as Israelites, that's the condition we're in. But things are going to be what? Flipped, okay, right side up. It's going to be their turn, okay, to have to, suffer, okay, in those, to suffer in those conditions. Like I said, I just wanted to bring something quick out. Just wanted to add, okay, to, okay, the structure, the order, okay, of the cosmos, man. Again, that the cosmos going into what? Israel. That's what it's speaking about. When you go to John 3:16, so God so loved the world, is speaking about, okay, the world of Israel. Let me just get a couple more. Like I said, I wasn't going to make this long. I just wanted to add a couple things that I didn't get to bring out yesterday in my lesson. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus. I believe it's chapter 45. If I'm correct, let me see. Yeah, Ecclesiastes chapter 45 and verse 5. Listen, he made him to hear his voice, speaking about Moses, and brought him into the dark cloud. So if Moses went into the chariot, look, and gave him commandments before his face, even the law of life and knowledge, that he might teach who? Jacob. Okay, where's the nations? It says, again, that he might teach Jacob his covenants and Israel his judgments. Okay, so if the nations were supposedly so loved, why were they not given the commandments, the covenants, the judgments? Again, you got to have the understanding. The Lord does not love these nations. Let me read down. It says, right here, verse 17, Ecclesiastes 45 and 17, it says, he gave unto him his commandments. Now this is speaking how the Lord set up Moses, and then he made his brother Aaron, right, the priest. It says, and authority, see, in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Jacob, listen, the testimonies, and inform Israel in his laws. So again, if these other nations didn't get order, okay, they weren't given the laws, so how does the Lord love them? It doesn't make any sense. So let me get one more. Like I said, I just wanted to add a little bit to it, to my lesson that I did yesterday. Again, I had to go into the plantation. I didn't really get to finish. And I just had a couple, like I said, I wanted to get that word order. Okay, I wanted to define it, and I didn't get to, but I'm doing it now. Ecclesiastes chapter 47, verse 22, it says, see, but the Lord, listen, will never leave off his mercy. What does it say in Isaiah 14 and 1? Okay, well, let's get it real quick. Isaiah 14 and verse 1. Listen, for the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yehoshai will have mercy on who? On Jacob, and will yet choose Israel. Okay, what happened to the rest of the nations? Again, the Lord has not chose them. Okay, the Lord is not going to have mercy on them. Okay, not on this side. Now we know in the kingdom, okay, they're going to be good after 1,000 years. Other than the Edomites going to be done away with. But these other nations will get to go back to their lands, but they're going to have to follow the true and living power. Okay, no more Allah, no more Buddha, none of that. It says, listen, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. See, and the strangers shall be joined with them. The strangers being what? The Israelite foreigners, okay? Okay, those that are going to cling on, okay, to the house of Jacob, as it's going to tell you, and they shall cleave, see, to the house of Jacob. Because ultimately, we were those strangers, those Israelite foreigners, because we didn't know, okay, who we were. We didn't know who we are. Okay, we didn't know who we are, okay, in this captivity. Okay, when you go back, okay, through all the captivities that Israel's been in, okay, we always knew who we were. But in this captivity under the Edomites, here in so-called America, Okay, we didn't know who we were. But now what? Let me go to a quick precept. Let me stay in Isaiah. Let me go to the 44th chapter. And let me go to verse 1. It says, now hear, O Jacob, see my servant. See, and Israel, listen, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee, says, fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou, Yasharan, whom I have chosen. Yasharan meaning what? The upright ones. And who's the upright ones? That's Israel, beginning with the elect. It says, listen, for I will pour upon him that is thirsty and floods upon the dry ground. Why? Because we were what? Here in so-called America, man. Okay, those dry bones. Okay, being those dry bones, not understanding, okay, who we were as a people. It says, again, I will pour my spirit upon thy seed and my blessing upon thy offspring. Now we have Israel waking up through the four corners of the earth. Why? Because we were scattered to the four corners of the earth. Okay, but when you go into Ezekiel, okay, the 37th chapter, the valley of the dry bones, that's speaking about right here in so-called America. It says, and they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. It says, one shall say, see, I am the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because you have Israel, okay, waking up, okay, to who they are, remembering themselves and thinking upon the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. It says, and another shall call himself, see, by the name of Jacob. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and surname himself, see, by the name of Israel. See, they're going to cleave to the house of Jacob, man. Okay, they're going to have the understanding of who they truly are. Okay, no more, okay, being no more in that Gentile mindset. But where's the other nations at? They're not in here. So if they're not in here, then how can the Most High, okay, love these nations? He doesn't. Let me go back. I'm gonna close out in Ecclesiastes of Sirach, chapter 40. What was that? Was I in 45? Did I finish that? Let me see. Ecclesiastes 45, and let me see. Where was it at? Yeah, you know what? Let me read verse 17 again. It says, he gave unto him his commandments, see, and authority in the statutes of judgments, that he should teach Jacob the testimonies, see, and inform Israel, see, in his laws. Again, where's the other nations? Let me finish off here in Sirach. I'll go to the 47th chapter, and I'm going to finish off here. Listen. It says, but the Lord will never leave off his mercy. See, neither shall any of his works perish. And again, we read who the Lord is going to have mercy upon. It says, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect. Okay, speaking about who? Like speaking about Israel, man. We just read it. Well, you know what? Let me get another precept. Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 3. Listen, and I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, which shall call thee by the name. It says, which shall call thee by thy name, am the power of Israel. Listen, for Jacob my servant's sake, see, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Again, going back to what this last captivity. Okay, we didn't know Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, but now through the Lord's mercy, okay, we have an understanding. Let me go back. Like I said, I'll finish off in Ecclesiastes. Again, I'm not trying to make this long. Ecclesiastes chapter 47, and just finish off there. 47 and 22. I'll read it again. It says, but the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity, see, of his elect. It says, and the seed of him that loveth him, he will not take away. Where it says, wherefore he gave, listen, a remnant unto Jacob. See, because that's how all Israel's ultimately going to come back, through the elect number, through that remnant. It says, and out of him a root unto David. See, speaking about Yahweh Shai, okay, because the kingdom, okay, will be Yahweh Shai's. And then there's going to be a righteous order on down. But that's only going to be for the nation of Israel, okay, the true Israelites. Okay, that's not for all nations. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I'm going to close out and give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak, Wadash, and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of the great millstone, from which I learned this truth. Peace and blessings to the house of David, doing his work with all righteousness, truth, and sincerity. And I want to say shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.